check that out, folks. Off to the right, holding up some fish for you to check out. Those look like some gold tile. And then, hang on, what do we got here? Yellow edge grouper there. All right, everybody give them a hand. Get up nice, close, and personal with these fish. Those look delicious. Now, if you've never had golden tile before, they call it areas like that. Appreciate you guys. Everybody give them a hand there. Woo! Now, if you want to get a piece of that golden tile, well, you're going to have to beat me over there, because I think it's super tasty.
Quá trời mấy con chim bồ câu.
I also noticed all these birds hanging out here. For an obvious reason, they're just trying to get an easy meal.
Easy meal.
Can't really blame them. They toss the skin, the guts, and eyeballs out of those bay doors all day. And the bay shrimpers toss out all their bycatch stuff they can't keep. So they've been eating all morning. So right about now, they do something else pretty good.
Giờ thì đã 1:30. Tới giờ Hữu Thiện lên tàu để đi coi cá heo rồi. Xin đừng rời mắt khỏi màn hình. Xin đừng rời mắt khỏi màn hình. Tour này chừng khoảng 1 tiếng đồng hồ. Mình đi cái tour này ra khơi khoảng 1 tiếng để mình ngắm cá heo. Xin đừng rời mắt khỏi màn hình để xem cá heo nha. Nếu như mà không có cá heo thì xem Hữu Thiện trước đi. Xem Hữu Thiện rồi thì xem cá heo. Lên tàu ra khơi. Welcome to Galveston. Xin mời cả nhà cùng với Hữu Thiện đi tàu nha. Đi tàu đi coi cá heo. Cái tàu nó lắc như cái gì á. Lắc kinh khủng luôn.
My name is Brian. I'm going to be your captain for the trip. Nolan's your deckhand. He's the one untying the boat. Once he's done, I'll take over the microphone. In the meantime, you are welcome to walk around throughout the trip. You are not required to stay seated. However, we do ask that if you move around, you do so safely. There are a lot of faster and larger boats out here that can cause us to rock around sometimes unexpectedly. So if you do stand up, always have a hand ready or on the railing just in case. Also, to stay extra safe, no running or jumping or climbing on anything. Please don't hang off of anything. And no standing on the seats. Kneeling on the seats is fine. We just don't want you standing on them because that's the easiest way to fall down and hurt yourself or fall off of the boat. And we're going to try to come back with everybody we leave with. That's sort of the whole thing with the boat, you know, stay on the boat. We also have life jackets on board, no matter where you sit, upstairs, downstairs, forward or back. There are life jackets all around you. We try to make them easy to find by labeling their locations. We do ask that you leave all of our life-saving equipment where it is, though, unless otherwise instructed by the crew. And then lastly, the Seagull 2, the boat you're on today, is a non-smoking vessel, which includes the use of electronic or e-cigarettes. No smoking on the boat. But now that we're off the dock, we're going to hand things over to your deckhand tour guide, Nolan. Welcome aboard the Seagull 2 and enjoy your trip around the harbor.
She was built in 1877 in Aberdeen, Scotland. Originally, she was commissioned as a cargo vessel. That's what cargo ships used to look like. She ran in that capacity for the next 90 years, taking cargo and supplies all over the world. In fact, she stopped over in Galveston a couple of times, so we know it. So she ended up in a scrapyard in Greece sometime in the 70s. And during that time, it was a whole lot different than the way we see her today, because she was just being used as a push boat around the scrapyard, as well as smuggling cigarettes off the coast. So you can imagine trying to run a covert ops smuggling, operation. If you look the way she looks today, in the 70s out on the water, well, they would have found her probably immediately. It's the only stall ship out there, the old sailing ship. Got it. So the next clipper bow you see facing the restaurant was just shaped out flat. It was mostly just open deck space. Pretty much all the rigging was gone, the masts, the things sticking straight up in the air, the yards, the things crossing the masts, all that was gone. And she was nearly destroyed, but luckily, right around that time is when Galveston Historical Foundation found out about her, and they acquired her, brought her back here, refitted her to her former glory, and nowadays, in addition to being a museum, which you can go on board and check out, as well as a sailing school vessel, that will take you on no previous sailing experience necessary when they start their sail training program. Pass all the tests, you get to actually be part of the crew that takes her out sailing for her day sails program in the spring, which just ended not that long ago. You're actually looking at the arguably second oldest actively sailing ship in the world. We actually take her out around and sail her out to the Gulf for a day sail program. So that would be how you get over to Pelican Island. Most of the stuff over there is oil related. Well, the Texas A&M University, Galveston here, it's a maritime university. If you want to get over to Pelican, First Street 51, and that's how I get over there. I also often get asked about that very tall building ahead of us off to the right of piece that's got a bunch of windows. We'll wonder what that is. It looks super important. That is the American National Insurance Company. Historically, the home of a good portion of our commercial fishing fleet. You can see several different types of fishing vessels we have in here. Immediately to our left is one. That is going to be an in-bay shrimper there. these big green nets. So they're allowed to fish year round, as long as they stay within 3 to 4 miles of the harbor here. Then we have the other ones in here. Names like New Buccaneer, directly ahead of us, Cavalier, Texan 2, Captain John. Those are going to be party boats. Party boats, what they'll do, they do charter fishing trips. They'll take you out anywhere from 3 to 30 plus long hour trips for roughly about $10 or so an hour. All you need is a fishing license. They'll provide you with all the other necessary equipment so you can try to land yourself a fish offshore. So if you're prone to motion sickness and you decide to do that, I will let you know. Definitely take your seasickness meds while you're out there because it's quite lucky. But then we have the other Blackjack 4 off to our left, which has automated rod and reel system called a Bandit rig. It's capable of reeling in thousands of pounds of fish at a time, mainly going after like red snapper. Score in-bay shrimpers off to our left there. So obvious names like shrimp busters, rock bottom. And the other long liners here, like the bottom line, they trail a huge length of line behind them with several hooks. I think that's all sorts of stuff. Swordfish, things like that. But as we start to slowly turn around here, we're going to actually be looking at a couple of fish markets we have on the island. If you're looking for some fresh fish for yourself to take home, I would recommend checking out these fish markets. The one will be now directly ahead of us here in a second with the kind of garage door. There's those coolers immediately to our right. That is going to be Samson and Sons Fish Market. It's actually the oldest one on the island. And then right next to that one where the fella's waving, hey, everybody wave! Hello! Woo! I'm trying, man. So off to the right where that fellow was, that's Katie's Fish Market. Oh, check that out, folks. Off to the right, holding up some fish for you to check out. Those look like some golden tile. And then, hang on, what do we got here? Yellow edge grouper there. All right, everybody give them a hand. Get up nice, close and personal with these fish. Those look delicious. Now, if you've never had golden tile before, they call it the lobster of the Gulf. It's super tasty. It's called the lobster of the Gulf. It's similar in texture and a lot more affordable than the other lobsters you find around Maine in areas like that. Appreciate you guys. Everybody give them a hand there. Woo! Now if you want to get a piece of that golden tile, well, you're going to have to beat me over there because I think it's super tasty.
Quá trời mấy con chim bồ đông.
I also noticed all these birds hanging out here for an obvious reason. They're just trying to get an easy meal.
Easy meal.
Can't really blame them. They toss the skin, the guts, and eyeballs out of those bay doors all day. And the bay shrimpers toss out all their bycatch stuff they can't keep. So they've been eating all morning. So right about now they do something else pretty good, which is why we turned around to get out of here. So if you decided to, anybody that decided to sit up top, or if you can look up and see the sky, you're going to be right in the splash zone. If you know what I'm talking about. Just don't look up with your mouth open, is all I'm saying. It's like I get pooped on by the pelicans. No, if they got it. As we start to make our way back out, could be a little more breezy once we leave the little protection of Pier 19 here. So be aware of that. If you got a hat you don't want to lose, make sure you keep your hand on it. Well, hold on. Before we fully make our way out of here, off to the right between us and the little hut there that's green and white, we've had a dolphin popping up. Just because we saw that one doesn't necessarily mean it'll pop back up in the same place. It's been part of the waterway here for quite some time.
Yeah,
yep,
over there.
Off to the right between us and that logo there. just to give you an idea how long it's been around here, the Alyssa, which I started off talking about, as I said, she was a cargo ship. She stopped over right in this very area in the 1890s. Cargo of bananas. So we like to call this a banana dock.
Yeah, over there.
It looks like most of you have figured out if you're trying to get a still shot of a dolphin, good luck. Unless you have some sort of like Spider-Man type senses. But a better trick would be to get them on video, and then you can actually screenshot, pause, and then screenshot moments from the video if you want. These have, oh, nope, still off to the right there. Swimming pretty slow. I'm guessing they just ate a whole bunch. They're cruising around a little slow here. But we're going to keep moving. We're still got a lot more of the harbor to check out. And while this is only last graduated, 23 students, now they graduate over 3,200 students annually, and they're actually the largest employer on the island. They also have a level 1 containment facility over there, which means they're able to work on and research, develop vaccines for super deadly and infectious diseases. You also might be wondering what all of this construction is taking place off to our right, where they have all these cranes set up, moving this little construction barge around. What they're building here off to our right, that is going to be a new massive cruise ship terminal. That's going to be cruise ship terminal number 3 for one ship. Not multiple cruise ships, just one. It's called Symphony of the Seas, which is owned by Royal Caribbean. One of the largest cruise ships in the fleet, in fact, the world at the moment. So to give you an idea how big it is, if you're familiar at all with cruise ships, they can get pretty large. In fact, one of the largest Caribbean ships we get here right now, it holds about 4,500 people. When the Symphony of the Seas is here, they think late this summer. That seems like a pretty short timeline though, with how much left they have to do. But when the Symphony of the Seas is here, well, it holds 9,000 people. That's double the capacity, folks. So if you can imagine it, it's going to be double the size in pretty much every dimension of the other cruise ships. So when it's docked here, you won't be able to see, well, anything at all on to the left that we can look at right now. You can see somebody off to our right having a bad day. Getting towed by the sea tow, so that's pretty much the tow truck of the water here. Off in the distance beyond the dock, you might notice a bunch of long arms sticking up to a bunch of multicolored boats. They have big green and purple nets. They're a larger version of the intake shrimper we saw earlier, so those are all part of our Gulf shrimping fleet. So they're the ones that head out way offshore, and they get us the jumbo Gulf shrimp, is what they're going after. If you've ever seen Forrest Gump, you're familiar with that film, that's the type of shrimping, that's what they were working on. Multicolored, blue and white stripes, yellow and white stripes. So these are a few of our ferry boats. The ferry boats will take you to Bolivar Peninsula, which is the landmass that is directly ahead of us on the horizon there. It is actually free to ride the ferry boat at any It's only about a 15-minute boat ride to get over to Bolivar. Although I will let you know if you're having a busy day or there's a long line of cars, it can get kind of busy on the weekends also. It can take you quite a while to board that ferry, anywhere from 1 to after 3+ hours before, just to get your car on board. And that's just one way. Once you get over to Bolivar, you might start to realize that there's not really a whole lot to do over there. If you get bored and you want to come back, well, you're going to have to get back in that queue to board the ferry the other way. So, something to keep in mind if you're pressed for time. Now, if you're looking to just ride the ferry boat ride itself, a better way to do that would be to park your car over there and then walk on board. They'll let you walk on board, and you ride it across. Once they get over the Bolivar, you can just stay on board and then take it back the other way. It's a little faster way to get just the boat ride experience. Park is pretty much a straight shot all the way to the end. Now the gray ship we're looking at, that is the destroyer escort Stewart, which would have been used as a submarine hunter. And right next to that is a Gato-class diesel electric submarine, the Kamala, and they have the sail of what was a nuclear sub, the Tautog. Construction is at 639. All part of the Galveston Naval Museum over there. So it's about $6 a car to park over there. And for about $10 a person, they'll actually let you on board those naval vessels. You can see people flying around on them. Even open up some of the below deck space. You can check that out. But in addition to that, it is also a day use area. So they do have like a playground over there, beach volleyball courts, basketball courts, grills, picnic tables, stuff like that. If you already have a fishing license, they'll let you fish all around the island. And then for a few extra dollars, you can use a little fishing pier they have on the end. Start to make our way out of the Galveston shipping channel here. We're going to be entering into an area known as Lower Galveston Bay, which is going to be kind of right next to the Bolivar Roads, considered one of the busier shipping channels in the U.S. So out ahead of us is going to be where Galveston, Houston, and Texas City shipping lanes meet up, and then they run out to the Gulf of Mexico, which is off to our right at about 3 miles. If you're wondering why those ships out there off to our right are all, they look like they're really close together, but they're all anchored out there, not moving, hanging out in the anchorage basin. So it's a lot more economical for ships to anchor out there than docking in our harbor, where the fees can sometimes run you upwards of $60,000 a day. But it's also a form of traffic control. So about 1,600 commercial vessels make their way through these waters every month. You have to have a way to control that. They all tried to jam into Houston at once, for example, it'd be a disaster. So they'll anchor out there with a way to get the go-ahead, essentially from traffic control to head towards wherever they need to go next. You can also see the Bolivar Point Lighthouse now onto our right, next towards Bolivar Peninsula, the black tower sticking up there. The original was built in 1852. It was the first lighthouse in the state, but it got destroyed in the Civil War. That one there, up to the right that we're looking at, was rebuilt in 1872 out of cast iron. It's obsolete, so they sold it off in an auction, and nowadays, unfortunately, it does sit on private property. So it's not actually something you can even go check out if you're over on Bolivar Peninsula. So the Selma here ran for about a year until it hit a jetty off the coast of Mexico, which put a big crack in her hull. So they were able to kind of patch it up enough to lift back here. They tried to repair it for the next couple of years unsuccessfully, decided instead to drag it out here and scuttle it to be used as a channel marker, which means they sink it on purpose. To do that, if you recall, the water got here naturally be very shallow. So they did have to dig about a 1,500-foot long, 25-foot deep trench. It's going to rock around a little bit here, folks, just heads up. And they dragged the Selma over the top of that trench, put it in the dynamite that was on board, and then that's how they laid it to rest the city where you see today.
Chìm.
Little rock and roll here, folks.
Bắt cả nhà chiếc tàu dầu bên chìm.
You're allowed to do, please do so carefully. Stand up, maybe hold on to something. Now the Selma here is also an artificial reef, so you have to get boats out here like you can see today. People fish out here all the time. They catch all sorts of stuff. Probably the wildest thing we've heard of being snagged out here, though, that happened about 5 summers ago now. Somebody shattered the Texas state record by catching an ogre. Was about as long as our boat is wide. That's why we're starting to head back in. Don't want to hang around the choppy bits of the harbor too long. But also, we're going to be facing right back into the wind, folks, so if you're not a hat you don't want to lose, make sure you got it on nice and tight and have it secured someplace. I'm also going to hop off the microphone now. Been kind of yelling at you on this thing for the past 35 minutes or so. Give me a break. Come around and check on you right quick to see if you got any questions. If you do, please don't hesitate to ask, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you don't, that's all good too. No worries. It'll be your chance to sort of just kick back, relax, and enjoy the ride back in.
Day for everyone celebrating this coming Sunday. And for everybody else who forgot that Mother's Day was on Sunday, you're welcome. No excuse now. Now, with the boats passing by, we'll probably rock around a little bit while we try to get our line set. So if you're standing up, we recommend you either find a seat or make sure you're holding on tightly to the railing. Once we're safely back to the dock, we'll be happy to let you know when it's safe to stand up and depart the vessel. And then lastly, folks, the boat you're on today, the Seagull 2, just so you know, we're part of a non-profit organization here in Galveston called the Galveston Historical Foundation. Now what that means is, unlike the other two harbor tour boats that exist, the money you spend on board the Seagull 2 doesn't go to line someone's corporate pockets. That money gets reinvested here in our community. Now some of it does, of course, help keep the Seagull 2 running. That way Nolan and I come out here and do the job we love, but the rest of it goes to keep Bishop's Palace's doors open, the tall ship Alyssa afloat, the Historic Homes Tour, which is happening this weekend. If you want to walk through people's personal homes and check out some of that, that's happening this weekend. As well as the preservation and restoration of numerous historic sites all across the island of Galveston. So whether you picked our tour intentionally or unintentionally, on behalf of myself, your captain today, Brian, your deckhand and tour guide, Nolan, and everybody else here, part of the Galveston Historical Foundation, thank you all so much for cruising around today. We really do hope you had a great time. Give us another couple minutes to get our line set. Once we do, we'll be back to the island, and we hope you have a great rest of your vacation here on the island. Getting onto the boat right now. Alrighty, folks. Nolan's going to open up the gate for us. Be sure to take your time, watch your step, and welcome back to the island.
Thank you. Thật là một tour tuyệt vời cả nhà. Rất tuyệt. Ghê cái thằng nó xét chạy bốc đầu luôn. Dữ thiệt. Rất tốt một tour khoảng 1 tiếng đồng hồ. Một cảm giác thật là thú vị.
Welcome back, folks. Watch your step.
Thank you so much for your time. You guys have a great
Big steps. Oh, actually, it's all for you. You did all the hard work. So.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Watch your step. Thank you. Have a good rest of the day.